Hi, I'm Cathy Thomas. Today I welcome Andrew Gruel, Executive Chef, owner of Calico Fish House in Huntington Beach. Chef will share his one-pan salmon and chickpea braise. Love the convenience of one-pan dishes. Bring it on. Call them garbanzos, call them chickpeas. I love them. How do they play in this dish?
Well, it's kind of the foundation of the dish, right? So there's a lot of layers and a lot of flavors to this, but I love having really just a good starch, a bean, whatever you want to call it, legume, that just kind of pops in the dish and makes the guest or whoever's eating it say, that's something I wasn't expecting. So this is an easy dish because it's all done in one pan. So, 5-10 minutes on a weeknight, weekend, you can expand, you can scale this out, do 4 or 5 pieces of salmon, do 1 piece of salmon. And what's also fun about it is that it's interchangeable. So the vegetables, right, the sauces, you can kind of play with that. What we're gonna do is build this foundation right now. Now I am gonna start by getting this pan pretty hot because what I wanna do is I wanna sear one side of the fish and get a little bit of that nice Maillard browning on there, that caramelization on the salmon, but I am still gonna cook it rather gently. I think fish is so delicate and gentle, it's got enough flavor to it that just a nice light browning always works. I'm actually gonna just go with whole butter, right? As you throw the butter in the pan, some of these milk solids start to toast. That's gonna add a lot of flavor to the salmon. So just season it with sea salt. I do not season my fish with black pepper when I'm cooking it. I feel like it gets a little bit bitter. I finish it with the black pepper.
And it looks like flaky salt.
Very flaky. That way I know where it's going. So just gonna throw that in the pan. This is a carbon steel pan, very similar to a cast iron. I love the carbon steel because it holds onto that heat really well. So as we braise this, it's gonna be able to accelerate the cooking process as opposed to it slowing down once we put liquids in there.
And about how long is this going to take, Chef?
Well, I'm going to sear it on this side, right, for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Salmon, as you know, does not need to be cooked all the way through. A high-quality salmon, if you like it rare, you can have it rare. I mean, this is the salmon that they would use for sushi. People ask me, hey, how do I know when my fish is ready to flip? As you look on the side, you can start to see some of the proteins coming together, and then it goes from that translucent raw color into that more Nantucket red, if you will. I've been reading too many J. Crew magazines. While that's in the pan, we start building out the rest of the dish. I have some pre-roasted garlic that I'm gonna throw in there. I love the flavor of that sweet roasted garlic. So at this point, right, I'm just gonna give this a little flip, okay? And you see, not too brown, just a nice kind of set on there.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna throw my chickpeas in at this point. And they'll toast a little bit in there because I want a little bit of color on that, on the chickpea. See, they pop. We're making popcorn. They are. This is the fun part. And then I've got some beautiful vegetables here. All Melissa's vegetables, fresh Melissa's produce.
And these have been blanched?
These have been blanched. Thank you for noticing. So Romanesco cauliflower. This is one of my favorites. It's this kind of trippy, almost Dolly-like, Grateful Dead-esque spiral in there that gives it's also got a ton of flavor. These are just baby fingerling sweet potatoes. I like the sweetness against the chickpeas. It kind of adds more layers of flavor, but you can also substitute this for regular potatoes.
And did you say that these are cooked?
These are par cooked, yes. I'll put these flesh side down in here so we get a little bit of color on there as well.
And they're delicious, and so many people equate sweet potatoes with something that's sticky sweet.
Yeah.
This is a delicious way to use them.
At this point, we're probably just approaching a rare on the salmon. The next item I'm going to add is a little bit of white wine. Now, I add this both for flavor and for the alcohol. So the alcohol is actually a catalyst for flavors that otherwise wouldn't come out. So just a little bit of white wine in there. You're gonna wanna cook that out. So I'm gonna let this cook down to maybe almost dry, all sec. As you notice, I turn the heat down at this stage. We don't want it to boil, right? Because that steam can kind of start to tighten the proteins in the fish. A white miso broth. Now, why do I use miso broth? Besides the fact that I absolutely love the flavor, that umami. As it starts to come down here, a dash or two of soy sauce. I don't want this to taste like soy, but I want that richness.
This doesn't look like a bottle of soy sauce to me.
I know, to be hitting it on the way in.
It looks like something you'd make a cocktail with.
Bingo. So this is one of my favorites. It's a soy sauce that's handcrafted in these Kentucky whiskey barrels.
Bluegrass.
Bluegrass soy sauce. I still want to kind of bring some of this heat around in almost a convection. So I'll cover it at this stage, and I'll bring the heat down really low.
And you've got a fancy cover there, Chef.
Yeah, the typical chef improvisation, right? Just throw another pan on top of there. And this is now going to allow it to kind of steam and finish out. Probably another 30 seconds.
Is this a two-person serving?
This is, well, depends on who you are. I eat way too much salmon, so for me this is an appetizer. But you know, if you wanted to make this a two-person salmon, you just throw one more piece of fish in there. Or if you're doing this for a dinner party, you could actually just slow roast the salmon in the oven and then build this braising base, and then at the last minute put it all together.
Why not?
It's that easy. I'll pull this salmon off and just kind of let it sit for a minute. I keep going back to this umami. I've got furikake mix, which is just toasted seaweed, sesame, a little bit of salt and sugar in there. Throw a little more butter in there just to mount it off. Kind of swirl that in there. A little bit of fresh lemon. I do the zest and then finish this with some of the lemon juice there.
This is gorgeous, Chef. Really looks delicious.
Especially for kind of a fall, wintertime dish, you know, this is the way to go. So now we'll actually just start to plate the dish.
Okay.
And you could theoretically just dump this right into the plate, but I like to, you know, present some of it. I'll put my salmon right on top. All that beautiful.
Why not?
I mean, get it all in there, right? I like texture, right? So I've got some pistachio nuts toasted, and I'm just gonna do a little slice on these just to kind of crush them. Fresh chives at the end. And then just another touch of the flaky sea salt to hit your palate right when you bite into it.
Chef, I can hardly wait. I'm going to go get a fork.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you for sharing.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Here's a quick tip from Melissa's. Rapini's bold, no-snooze flavor profile boasts a pleasing bitterness that can be tamed with creamy pasta or grains augmented with caramelized onion and garlic. With stalks more slender than broccoli, rapini is topped with spiky, jagged-edged leaves and bundles of compact buds. This recipe, taken from my third cookbook, The 50 Best Plants on the Planet, uses a tasty brown rice blend that often contain a trio of long-grain brown rice, red rice, and black rice. Some include wild rice too. It has a lovely sweet-edged earthiness that teams well with the courageous rapini. The tasty dish can be a vegetarian main. Include some garbanzo beans for added protein. Yum! Get the recipe at cathythomascooks.com.